MLB managers are very important to what a Major League Baseball team does. And in today's video, we're going to look at 6 managers that are currently on the hot seat for their jobs, obviously. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do in today's video. But before I get into this video, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like on this video. Subscribe to notifications and leave a like, and let's go ahead and get into this video. So we're going to start off with Aaron Boone of the New York Yankees. Now, we've already talked about the Yankees in the power rankings this week quite a bit. And yeah, the Yankees have been disappointing once again this season. Aaron Boone was hired in the 2018 offseason. They went 162 in the 2018 season under manager Aaron Boone, but still lost in the ALDS. In 2019, they lost in the ALCS to the Houston Astros, and they had a 103-59 record that year. In 2020, they were 33-27th, finished second place with a wild card. They lost in the ALDS to Tampa Bay. And then in 2021 so far, they're 31-29 and fourth in the AL East, 6.5 games back of first place. And the Yankees have been a huge disappointment this year. And I think the Yankees should fire Aaron Boone. I hate to come for people's job like this, but Aaron Boone's just not good at his job. And that's one of the main reasons. Like I said, they're 31-29 right now, 6.5 games back, 2.5 games back of a wild card, 2-8 in the last 10 on a 4-game losing streak. They've got 223 runs scored this year and 227 runs allowed, which equals to a -4 run differential. Their expected record would be 30-30, and they're 17-16 at home, 14-13 on the road, and 16-19 versus 500 opponents. For the Yankees, it's been the hitting. It's been the hitting. I'm not going to really explain basically the same thing that I said in the power rankings video. We're going to talk about more of who that next manager could be. Now, for the managers, a lot of their coaches have actually got some interviews, especially last offseason, like Carlos Mendoza, their bench coach, along with Phil Nevin, their third base coach. So I think most likely they're just going to keep it in-house, as they say here, and they're just going to kind of stay there. I think that that's kind of what they're going to do. I think they're going to hire somebody right now. If they fire Aaron Boone close to the deadline, I would think maybe some kind of like hitting-ish background coach. And maybe they just promote their hitting coach that they have now. That could be possible as well. I don't know. Next, for the Twins is going to be Rocco Baldelli. The Twins have had a very, very disappointing year this year. They're 24-35, tied for last place in the AL Central. They're 4-6 in the last 10 on a 2-game winning streak, and they have a -35 run differential with 270 runs scored against 305 runs allowed. Their expected record would be 26-33. They're 12-17 at home, 12-18 on the road, and 13-22 versus 500 opponents, and actually play the Yankees in their next series. So, for the Twins here, Rocco Baldelli has got to be on the hot seat. And you can't blame everything and the Twins' struggles this year on Rocco Baldelli just for all the injuries that he's had to deal with this year. And yeah, I mean, like, you can't totally blame Rocco Baldelli for everything, nor can you just go off record. You've got to see, can he get enough out of his players? Is he a guy like Kevin Cash where he can get a ton out of his players? He really hasn't this year. And that's a big thing right there. Can he get enough out of his players? And I really wouldn't say he has been. I think he is getting a lot out of Byron Buxton, which is good. But besides that, he's really not getting a ton out of those players. Like, Jose Barrios has been solid, but he's never been the ace that we were expecting. Michael Pineda has been solid. You're getting something out of him. But the rest of the starting pitching has been awful. And the Twins have never really got past the first round. If we're looking at some of their past years under Rocco Baldelli, I'm pretty sure he was hired for the 2019 season. And boy, did everybody think Rocco Baldelli was a great manager. They thought that he was just like sliced bread of the managers. Literally, sliced bread of the managers. Yes, I was correct. In 2019, he was hired, and they finished with a 101-61 record. Still lost in the ALDS and got swept by the Yankees. And they finished in first place back in 2020 as well with a 36-24 record, but lost in the AL wildcard game. And in 2021 so far, 24-35. I just don't trust the Twins come postseason time. Honestly, I know a lot of people like to really talk about the regular season, but the postseason matters way more. Do you perform in the postseason or not? Or do you even make it to the postseason? That's what's big with me. The regular season matters, but it's a whole nother level once you get to playoff time, and they have still yet to perform with the playoffs. And this Rocco Baldelli, he might be a guy that's just like, well, we can get a good amount of wins out of him in the regular season, but we need a postseason coach, and he needs to be fired. And that's very possible. Now, here's some interesting candidates here. I know a lot of people want to say Buck Showalter. No, 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 no. But there's not a lot of great managers with experience out there. You've got Carlos Beltran, who's a possible guy. There's been some Rays bench coaches and stuff that have been getting interviews. And if there's a first-year manager that I would want, it has to be one of the most teams that I would want it from would be Tampa Bay. As good as they've been this last few seasons with postseason experience and a great run organization over there, that's who I would trust most with getting a managerial candidate or a new manager from. Matt Quattro, who is the Rays bench coach, has been getting some interviews. You've also got, I know a lot of people want to say Freddie Gonzalez. He's bad. No, you don't want him. No, you don't. You do not want him. Sal Fasano's another idea. Former Braves, or is it the Braves, catching instructor right now. He could be maybe even an idea for the Yankees. And here's the thing. There's, like I said, not a ton of options here because you can't really know who wants to be a manager. And yeah, I mean, so yeah. Next is Joe Maddon of the Los Angeles Angels. This guy has just not been good since coming to Los Angeles to manage the Angels. He has just not been good, and the team hasn't been good either. I'm not saying that he's had a great team put around him, but they should be better than they've been, honestly. And that's the whole thing with Joe Maddon. And here's the thing. The Angels are currently in fourth place with a 28-32 record, only 4 games back to 500, but 6-4 in the last 10 on a one-game winning streak. They have a negative 37 run differential, way more runs allowed than runs scored, and their expected record would be 27-33, and they're 16-16 at home and 12-16 on the road, and 18-24 against 500 opponents. So for the Angels, since Joe Maddon came in as manager just back in 2020, 26-34 season, fourth in the AL West. And this year, like I said, 28-32. Now, Brad Ausmus was a horrible manager. I don't even want to hear any, like, Brad Ausmus is not getting another managerial job either. He's horrible and a bad manager. I know Bruce Bochy might be an option as well. Now, Bruce Bochy has to be intrigued by the Los Angeles Angels, the team that they've got. Has to be. And the Angels need to fire him because he's just not been very good. And he got the most out of Dylan Bundy last year, but the foreign substance helped a lot for that as well. And here's the thing. Like, he has been getting a little bit out of Justin Upton, Jared Walsh this year. But these are also good Major League Baseball players. So you got to take that into account as well. And honestly, Joe Maddon needs to be fired. He was great in Chicago and Tampa Bay, but I think the more and more years that go by, the more and more years that he's just not a quality manager anymore because he's old school. And next is Dave Martinez, who, yes, has won the Nationals, the World Series, but certainly has to be on the hot seat because the Nationals are just not a good team right now. They're 24-32, 7 games back of the NL East. They're 3-7 in the last 10 on a 2-game losing streak, a negative 31 run differential. Their expected record would be 25-31. They're 13-15 at home, 11-17 on the road, and 8-16 against 500 opponents. And the Nationals really do need to fire Dave Martinez. I know that there's kind of some dedication to him just because he did win a World Series for them. But they also had a very good team that year for one, and they've just not been the same since. And they need to just switch it up. And I think that maybe it is going to be a new coach after this season because if they don't or a new manager after the season. If they don't bring back like Scherzer and all these players, they might head into rebuild mode. And hopefully they can extend Soto and Turner so they have the leverage there before they start the rebuild. Next, we're moving on to Cincinnati to talk about David Bell as our next candidate. David Bell has underperformed some pretty good Reds teams, honestly. Last year's team was better than this year's, but still. They are 28-29 this year, 4 games back at the NL Central, 7-3 in the last 10 on a 4-game winning streak. They have a negative 22 run differential, and their expected record would be 27-30. They're 12-14 at home and 16-15 on the road, and 17-19 against 500 opponents. And David Bell might just need to get fired because he's just not really done it for this Reds team. He's just not been great. Like, I'm pretty sure he's only been the manager there for like 2 years, maybe 3. We'll see. But he's still, the hitters, he's getting a lot out of them. But he's not getting anything out of the pitching. And that could be towards the pitching coach as well. But at least this year he's not getting anything out of the pitching. He was last year when Trevor Bauer was there, which should show you something. But yeah, so for the Reds, they had some good pitching last year. Now the pitching's went down. He's actually been the manager for 3 years, and they've not been great any of those. And in 2019, they were 75-87, fourth in the AL Central. They were third in the AL Central, and luckily made a playoff spot, but lost in the wild card, 31-29 last year. And in 2021 so far, 28-29 under David Bell, and he's just not been that great, honestly. And I know you can't take a total record into it. It's more like, what are you getting out of your players? Blah, blah, blah. And we are going to go to that right now because the Reds, they're getting a lot out of their hitters. Like I said, I can't trash David Bell totally, but I could trash him in the sense that he's not getting anything out of his pitchers because his pitchers are kind of god-awful this year, especially Luis Castillo. Ever since Luis Castillo, besides 2019, has been horrible, and David Bell cannot be the total reason for that, but still. The bullpen has not really been that great, minus TJ Antone. And John Doolittle has fallen off a cliff. And next and final one that I'm going to talk about is Torey Lovullo of the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks had a surprising 2019 season. And then for the last 2 years, they've been bad. And they're bad again this year because they're 20-41, 18 games back of the NL West, which they have basically no chance of winning. 2-8 in the last 10 on a 5-game losing streak. They have a negative 64 run differential. Their expected record would be 24-37. They're 11-16 at home and 9-25 away from Chase Field, and they're 4-24 against 500 opponents, which is pretty horrible. Torey Lovullo, yes, like I said, he got that one good year out of him, but still, he just never gets anything out of the pitching, and he just never does. The pitching's been awful this year. There has been no pitching minus Zach Gallen this year. That's good, at least. And for the bullpen, it's been towards the same. Caleb Smith has been good in the bullpen, actually, and Taylor Clark. But besides that, that's been about it. And the hitting's actually been pretty solid. Carson Kelly's been good, Eduardo Escobar, and obviously you've got Ketel Marte, your best hitter there. And the Diamondbacks do have a pretty exciting future, but I don't think Torey Lovullo should be the manager of that future, considering how bad this Diamondbacks team has been for the next 2 years, last 2 years. And it's not like he's had a terrible team because he's had a pretty solid team. It's just what can you do with that team that you have? And they're definitely underperforming this year for the expectations coming into the season. I thought they could be a bit of a sneaky team, but they definitely have underperformed, and that's a big reason why Torey Lovullo is on the hot seat. So those are the 6 managers on the hot seat. We've got Aaron Boone, Rocco Baldelli, Joe Maddon, Dave Martinez, David Bell, and Torey Lovullo. So, yeah, those are the 6 managers on the hot seat as of right now, 1 from each division. And, yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and turn notifications because, like I said, 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So get your life together and hit that subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace.